Hi, my name is Alini and this is my final research project. The piece that I chose from the Metropolitan Museum of Art is the Royal Acquaintances Memi and Sabu. It is a 24 7/16 inches high, 9 5/8 inches wide, and 6 inches deep sculpture made out of limestone and paint. It was made in Egypt around 2575 to 2465 BC. That was the time of the 4th dynasty. During that era, there were many rulers. I'll list them to you now. I might say it wrong, but let's give it a try. Snefru was the first ruler of the 4th dynasty. He ruled from 2575 to 2551 BC. Then came Khufu. He ruled from 2551 to 2528 BC. Then Jedefre from 2528 to 2518 BC. Then Khafre from 2518 to 2492 BC. Bakare from 2492 to 2490 BC, Menkaure from 2490 to 2472 BC, Shepseskaf from 2472 to 2467 BC, and then Jedephtha from 2467 to 2465 BC. Previous years of peace allowed the rulers of this dynasty to focus on different things rather than war. Because of this war break, the Egyptians were able to concentrate in building the pyramids of Giza. These pyramids are grand and beautiful, but what really catches my attention is not the size or look of it, but the thinking of who made it and how did these people live. In the video, Dr. Mark Leonard searched for information on the pyramid builders. Dr. Leonard talks about their diet. He affirms that the workers ate beef, the most prestigious of all the meat, which gave them the everyday strength to be able to complete the pyramids. Their diet is not the only thing that is close to our lives. These Egyptians lived lives pretty much like ours, but in an ancient context. They lived by the Nile River in houses made out of mud bricks. The houses were furnished with stools, small boxes for jewelry and cosmetics, chests for clothing, pottery jars, and oil lamps. In poor families, the mother raised the children, while in rich families, they had servants to help raise their children. Girls learned the housework with their mothers, while fathers taught their sons trade or craft. Marriage was mostly arranged, but some people were able to choose their own husband or wife. Divorce was also possible, leaving both parts free to remarry. Like in any other civilization, castes also divided Egypt at that time. On the top of their pyramid was the pharaoh. Then the government officials, which would be the nobles and priests. Then the soldiers, scribes, merchants, artisans, farmers, and last but not least, slaves and servants. They were usually married within their social group and continued in the same job as their parents. We can see many of these different classes depicted in their art. Many of these arts are made out of limestone. It was the most used stone for art in the 4th dynasty and in the Old Kingdom in general. Being a light stone, it was easier to carve and to carry to its final home. Architecture was big at this era. It was when the most famous pyramids in the world were built. Limestone was the main stone chosen to build these great buildings. Granite was also used, but in a much smaller amount. Sculpture was also very important during this dynasty, as they used them for many religious and funerary reasons. All artists kind of copied the past artists and did not care for being creative. They preferred to follow their ancestors' style. That meant creating statues that were facing straight forward, stiff, and standing up or sitting down. Naturally, the Egyptians of the 4th dynasty were very intelligent in many different aspects. They are internationally known for the pyramids and their architecture features. There are many theories on how they achieved such a feat. On cheopspyramid.ch, a website we used in class, it shows a pulley system theory, where the servants pull two ropes while walking down the pyramid, making the stone block go up on a wooden track rubbed with olive oil. It amazes me how much they achieve with precarious tools such as ropes, olive oils, wooden blocks, and wooden rails. Although they used very simple materials, they showed how ahead of their time they were through their architecture and technology. Now let's redirect this thinking towards Memi and Sabu and answer some of our professor's questions. Question number 1. What impact did one or more of the above have on this work of art? Well, artistically, the impact is great. This piece is made out of limestone, the most commonly used stone during that dynasty. The style is the same rigid, standing, straightforward look at that time. Finally, the media is sculpture, something commonly made and used in the 4th dynasty. Number 2. What were the style and formal properties of work of art of this media at this time in this place? Give us specific examples. Well, let's see if I can say the names correctly. Menkaure and Kamerunepti and Khafre enthroned are good examples. They're both made out of stone, just as Memi and Sabu. They also follow the same style and characteristics I mentioned before, the rigid, standing or sit down, straightforward look. 3. Is this work of art a typical example of the style and formal properties of art produced in its area in its time? Why or why not? Yes, it is. The certainty of my answer is given to so many statues that have been found that follows the same style. Menkaure and Kamerunebeti and Khafre enthroned are only 2 of many. If you check the Metropolitan Museum of Art website, you will find many other examples, such as headless statue of Babaef as younger men, or the seated statue of King Menkaure. Number 4. What was the purpose of works of art of this media at this time? Well, the Egyptians at that time used sculptures to decorate their homes as well as to decorate their tombs, their afterlife homes. The sculptures placed in the tombs had religious meanings. They believed that the spirit of the dead person would enter the statue, or the embalmed body, and then enter the next domain where the deceased could receive the offering of the living. Number 5. Does this work of art contain an image that is a typical example of the subject matter and iconography of art produced in this area at this time? Why or why not? Well, yes. Our textbook says that the image of a person or deity standing either alone or in a group is one of only a small number of basic formulaic types that the Egyptians used to represent human figures. The Metropolitan Museum website also states that pair statues usually depicting a husband and wife were frequently placed in a sardab, the hidden statue chamber often found in non-royal tomb chapels of the Old Kingdom. That fortifies the idea that the subject matter, husband and wife, was commonly seen at that time in Egypt. Question number 6. Answer a question you asked in your museum visit paper. Well, my question was, what is the purpose of it? Well, now I know that the statue of Memi and Sabu was found in a tomb, and that the Egyptians believed that the spirit could use the statues called Ka as a home when they could not use their embalmed bodies. So Memi and Sabu were most likely a funerary item. As you can see, the sculpture of Memi and Sabu fits perfectly with the characteristics of its time. Knowing the history of this piece just makes it more interesting to me. I hope that through this video you can better understand and appreciate this piece of art and its history.